I'm expecting the Auburn Tigers to shock Mizzou on Saturday.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with the Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us today. Who wins this game? Our final predictions will come later. I think it's going to come down to the trenches. I said that about the Baylor game. This game feels kind of similar to me. Darrell will spend some time on that in a second. But look, when it comes down to it, I'm expecting the Auburn Tigers, Hugh Freeze, I'm expecting them to shock the Missouri Tigers. I think Missouri's a little overconfident coming into this because they looked good against Alabama. They still lost. I've had to remind Missouri people this week, like, y'all did lose that game. It's not about just looking good. In fact, when we're talking about close games, Auburn's been the king of close games so far. And so I think their first time leaving Columbia, I think Bo Prabula's first SEC start on the road, I think there's a lot of things that I like about this for whatever reason. Despite what we've been through for the last three outings, I do expect Auburn to pull the quote-unquote upset against Mizzou on Saturday.
Yeah, the reasons you mentioned are very, very accurate and valid. I'll add a few more to those. If you look at a graphic out there, there's a side-by-side statistic of Missouri versus, and you would look at that and go, my gosh, Missouri should beat Auburn's eyes out. When you look at points per game, points given up, yards per game, there's just these figures. And then you get to the very last little graphic or little bit of information, and it's strength of schedule.
There it is.
And Auburn's played the fifth toughest schedule, and Missouri's is 59th. And, oh, by the way, they've played that 59th strength of schedule all at home.
Correct.
So I agree with you on that. I also think that there is an emotional factor in this game and a law of, the Murphy's Law type thing.
Did you avoid saying law of averages because I called you out for saying it so much the other day?
No, I didn't, because Murphy's Law is the right term to use here. Law of averages would not apply to this at all. Okay. Murphy's Law is when things happen, you can look it up. Anyway, Murphy's Law says that there's a possibility, and I'm throwing it out there for people to debate one way or the other, but I'm throwing out the statement that there is a possibility, and could it be, I'll form it in the way of a question, that Hugh Freeze could be coaching for his job. I don't think that that's way out in left field, far out in outer space, that there's a possibility, and how it looks.
Yes.
If Auburn loses its fourth in a row and it looks poor and offensively.
They score 10 points. Yes. They lose. Yeah, right.
There's a possibility that he's coaching for his job. I won't say one way or the other whether he is or not, because I'm not John Cohen. I don't know. I have an opinion, but my opinion is going to be based upon what I see Saturday before I would formalize that opinion.
Right. So what happens Saturday is important. For sure.
So let's just say that's the case. Backs against the wall, all the cliches, coaching for my job. Typically when that happens, Murphy's Law says the team that, comes out and plays well, and unless you're playing for a coach that you want gone, and I've seen teams do that, and you have too, they lay down like dogs because they want that guy out and they don't play hard for him anymore, and he lost the team. I don't think that's the case at all with Hugh Freeze. I don't think he's lost the team. I think they still play hard for him. So I think that there's a real circle the wagons rallying cry there with all the other factors that you mentioned. That would not surprise me.
Can he circle the wagons? Can there be a rallying cry? Because a lot of people are now saying he's lost the locker room. I don't think it's as dramatic.
Who's saying that?
Phillip Dukes is the main one I'm seeing say it.
Is Phillip Dukes? I get that, and I love Dukes, but he's not in the locker room. And I know he talks to players, but there are other people that I've talked to that talk to players that are firmly on the side of not being happy at all with what happened and what Damari did. Now, does that say there's a divided locker room? Perhaps. But a lost locker room means everyone is in lockstep and in agreement that it's done. If you've got different opinions,
I've talked to several players as well, and they're not thrilled with what Damari did, but they are, I think, unanimous. I don't think I'm out of line to say unanimously, not happy with how Hugh Freeze phrased it on Monday. I think that's the issue. I don't.
But there's two separate things. But there could be two separate things. You could be not happy with the way he handled it, but not lose the locker room overall.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, because of one topic, one issue about how he handled something doesn't necessarily mean, as poor as it was, that you've lost the whole locker room with the way you've handled things. People make mistakes. I think he tried to rectify it, walk it back, talk to beat writers, called people, and to clarify his statement. So do I agree with how he handled it? Absolutely not. The verbiage was poor. But I don't think you could – I don't think something like that you could totally lose the locker room over unless he, was really, really just going after a lot of different people and throwing a lot of different people under the bus. So my point is I think they'll still play hard for him. And I don't think that they'll, lay down and say, we want him out the door, so that'll reflect effort.
Yeah, I think so too. And look, Auburn is a more talented team than Missouri. We've seen that doesn't always matter. We've seen that for sure. It should matter more than it has over the last few years. We've seen them be able to put together half of a game plan when it comes to making the offense not about Jackson Arnold. We've seen them do it for half of a game, the most recent timeout. Can they do that for a full 60 minutes? And you may not need a full 60 minutes against Missouri. No disrespect, but Auburn's defense is going to be able to keep them in this game. I firmly believe that. We'll get into more of the details on that in just a second, because I think a lot of this is going to come down to trench play. And I think Auburn's going to benefit from that to some extent. But the fact that Auburn should win this game, in my opinion, puts more pressure on Freeze, because both of our predictions going into the season had Auburn losing these past three games, and then I had them winning out to the Iron Bowl. You had them, I think you've since changed that, but you had them winning this game after losing 3 straight. And I love that you brought up the strength of schedule for Auburn and the strength of schedule for Missouri, two very different situations. Missouri, the truth is Missouri's probably not quite as good as people think they are, and Auburn's not quite as bad as people think they are. The truth is somewhere in the middle of all of these extremes that we love to have in this day and age. But the truth of the matter is, if Auburn's schedule is similar to Texas, I think we're looking at this totally different. If Auburn had played Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Arkansas, it's okay, well, hold on, let's see. When in reality, that's what we should have been doing with Missouri. They play a good team against Alabama, and they're getting credit by some people, and some of it's their own fan base, for a close loss. I'm like, what are we doing? Are you kidding me? Nobody gives Auburn credit for a close loss, and nor should they. So it's just weird, this narrative that it's okay in some fan bases and it's not okay in others. And I think if we're playing it straight down the middle, I don't think the divide between these two teams is that large at all.
The reason why Auburn doesn't get credit for these close games is the point that I was about to make, when everybody is screaming from the rooftops, wait a minute, Zach, wait a minute, Darrell, you predicted them to be 3-3. Why are you backtracking now? Why are you? Absolutely, we did. But the reason why we're talking about it and we're talking about Freeze is not that they're 3-3, for the same reasons why I think people aren't giving Auburn credit for close games. It's how they've gotten to the 3-3. It looks different. Missouri scored a lot on Alabama. A one-score game, ironically, just doesn't look the same all the time. You would think it would, but it looks different. And the fact that
it feels different too.
It does. It feels different. It feels different. And look, listen, I put this, me and you have not talked about this. These problems manifested themselves and how it looks all the way back to the second half of the South Alabama game, which no one wants to talk about. Do you realize Auburn got outscored 7-3 against a group of 5 school in the second half of the South Alabama game? That, in my opinion, was the beginning of these offensive issues.
Yeah, I won't push back on that at all. I think a lot of this is going to come down to trench play. And I think I like Auburn despite Missouri having an incredible pass rushing tandem. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it matters most. Let's break it down. I will go with Keldrick Falk. He continues to lead a very stout defense. Doesn't always show up in the box score, but his impact on the game has been tremendous. And just like Keldrick Falk delivers for Auburn, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you can save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, you get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items for the most trusted brands in the business. Join the free Trade Master program today, and you can score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated phone line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That is supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. That's Supply House. Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us. I said this all summer going into the Baylor game. I'm saying it again. I think this comes down to trench play. And when you're talking about a game where I'm not expecting a ton of points to be scored, I think it's going to benefit whoever wins in the trenches. I love Auburn's pass rush against this Missouri offensive line that has not been great. And I know so many people are saying, like, what in the world? Auburn's O-line has given up so many sacks. I don't think it's going to come down to that entirely. And it's something I talked about with John Miller yesterday on the crossover. Like, yes, Missouri has 2 incredible edge rushers, 100%. Auburn's not getting beat by those guys from like a technique standpoint. They're getting beat because they're just letting guys run past them, which isn't great. But I do think we saw that take a step forward against Georgia. I don't think that's why Auburn lost to Georgia. And so I am curious to see how that translates. But if Missouri gets their edge rushers going and Auburn's doing that thing where they're just watching people go by him and Jackson's holding on to the football, and this offensive coaching staff is putting Jackson in the situation where he can hold on to the football, then that to me is on the coaching staff, and Auburn will lose this game.
That's the scariest part of me, is that matchup. I'm glad you feel really good about it. I think Auburn's defensive line, and I think they will get sacks and pressure the quarterback.
Yeah, I like both D lines in this game.
I'm just concerned of the net of that. Can Auburn get more sacks than Missouri sacks Auburn? Because I do believe, although it looks cleaner at home due to noise, snap counts, all that kind of stuff, there's still the, deep-seated fear that it could change quickly and Missouri's edge rushers could eat Saturday. If that happens,
if that happens, I think it's because of scheme, and that's on the coaching staff, whether it's Jake Thornton and the protections that are drawn up and the communication not getting all the way across the offensive line, which I think has been more of the issue, not against Oklahoma, but against the other games. I think that's been more of the issue. Or Jackson's holding onto the ball too long, which at this point in the season, if you're calling plays to where it allows Jackson to hold on to the football, what are you doing? What are you doing as an offensive coach if you're putting your quarterback in that situation where he's proven that he can't handle it, whether it's processing, whether it's, just this mental block of when, he's so afraid to turn the ball over, whatever it is. If you're putting him in that situation, I think you're setting him and his offense up to fail. And so I'm just trying to give Freeze the benefit of the doubt as he is coaching for his job, potentially, as you mentioned. Like, this offense has to look good. It has to, Darrell. Or we all know what could happen. And so this is me just saying, like, all right, Freeze, this could be your last shot. Go all in. Go all in. Craft a game plan that's not about Jackson Arnold, and let's see what this offense could look like.
The way you keep a really, really talented and dynamic edge rushing duo and tandem from just coming up field and absolutely wrecking havoc is you've got to run the football and keep them honest.
Oh,
you have to. That takes away some of that. And over pursuit is a real thing. And if you're pinning your ears back and coming up field, you can design plays to run counter that, and to where you actually, that's a weakness. You run right at that and go right by, but you have to run it or have the threat of the run to keep them honest.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. If you just, and you also have to stay in front of the sticks. I mean, Zach, if you're constantly in 2nd and 8, 3rd and 6, they can pin their ears back, and they will. And then that's where it's going to be a problem. Manageable down and distance is going to be a big, big key in this football game, I feel like.
They were able to do it in the first half against Georgia. In the second half, it was just out the window. It was crazy.
Unfortunately, this new rule in college football, with all the other things that are going on, NIL, transfer portal, all these new rules, you still have to play 2 halves. That rule hasn't changed. I'm a little disappointed because Auburn would be. If
that's not coaching, I don't know what is.
Well, 2 things were very concerning. Kirby Smart saying he was totally unprepared in the first half, that Hugh Freeze was doing things he didn't think that they were doing. Okay, so that's positive, but that they still try to do those same things in the second half, and Kirby adjusted, and Hugh Freeze did not.
And then Hugh Freeze is like, we did stuff that worked in the first half, and we did that same call against the same look, and it didn't work. We didn't execute. I'm like, are you kidding?
I get the theory and the process, and this used to drive me crazy watching games as a fan, when coaches would try to be too cute and outsmart themselves and go away from things that were working.
Yeah.
I'm of that old school thought of do it until it doesn't work. But once they stop it once, to me, that means stop doing it.
Yeah. Like, all right, what's next? You had to anticipate this would eventually happen.
Do it until they stop it. Do it until they stop it. But once they stop it, to me, that's when it's over and you go away from it and try to do something different.
It's so strange. It's so sad. Hopefully they get it going on Saturday. That'd be awesome. Who wins this game? We take a stab at it with our score predictions and more next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Rougiette. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence. Pure confidence. If you're looking at something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. Guys, that's exactly where Rougiette Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications and 1 dual-action formula, so you can go the distance. Effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even to the next day. Ready to level up your confidence? Head over to Rougiette.com. That is RUGIET.com. And use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 15% off your first order. That is Rougiette.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Make sure you use our code so they know that we sent you. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Auburn now a 1.5-point dog, according to our friends at FanDuel, against the Missouri Tigers, over under 43.5. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Darrell Dapprich hanging out with us, Montgomery radio legend. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted right now.
Kudos to you for that read, and thank you for keeping me off screen. I was a little bit alarmed by something you said, but we'll move on and talk about it off screen.
You don't want to talk about it now?
Well, I just thought that one of the hours that you mentioned, or the time frame, I thought literally that you're supposed to go see a doctor if that happens. But
36 hours is a long time.
Yeah.
Even to the next day was part of the read.
Yeah, that was eye-opening.
Yeah. Never mind. All right. Auburn is, like we just said in the read there for FanDuel, the FanDuel read. Auburn, a 1.5 point dog against Missouri at home. Of course, this line has moved like 3 points, which is pretty sizable. Settled around a pick 'em. Like, I think that's kind of where it should be as a pick 'em. Just 1.5 is about as close as you can get to that. I think I'm going with Auburn in this game. I'm going 20-17. I think they get some scoring help like they did towards the end of the A&M game, where I'm not saying that a defense will score or special teams will score or anything, but I do think they set up, solid field position to help Jackson Arnold out. I think they're going to need McPherson a ton in the kicking game. So give me 2017 Auburn. You can't, I've said that all week. You can't be upset that I'm saying that.
I'm not upset. I've changed it because that was my initial score. That's why I dropped my head and laughed, because all the way up until driving home last night from Birmingham, I had 20-17, but I've changed it. You ready? Here we go. Auburn 23, Missouri 20. Same spread.
Got it.
But I think Missouri scores 20, and I think Auburn's McPherson's really been coming on. I think he's going to get us, that would be 3 field goals?
That'd be great.
Yeah. So I'm going 23-20 Auburn.
Yeah. I'm just curious to see, with what's at stake potentially.
I'm still shook. I'm sorry. I'm still shook from that read, but let's move on.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. 23-20.
I self-edited a lot of it too.
I have to, that you deserve much.
Rougiette go long? I mean, come on.
Yeah. And then you come out with a sizable play on words there when you're describing a lead or something. Yeah. You deserve all kind of props and credit for that, my guy. Great job.
Yeah, I guess.
So
who do you think, if there's a receiver that they go long with in honor of our friends at Rougiette? I posted a thing on social media yesterday, and I feel like I've done this every week going into every big game. I'm like, this is it. This is the Malcolm Simmons game.
Yeah.
And of course it hasn't happened. Not Malcolm's fault, but it hasn't happened. I'll predict it again.
Who do I think?
I'm going Malcolm Simmons. Malcolm Simmons pops one.
That's a really hard question to answer.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You are an adult.
What are you talking about? You are an adult. I'm being serious. That's very difficult. I'm going to say.
You didn't say difficult, Darrell.
Well, difficult's too long of a word. I'm trying to shorten it up. I'm going to go Singleton. I keep going back to that play in the middle of the field where he got overthrown, and I think that might be there tomorrow. So I'm going to go Singleton.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Jackson miss Cam on 2 long ones that would have been touchdowns against Oklahoma. Those were both Cam, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And then he missed Singleton on what could have put Auburn in the lead against Georgia. I think that totally changes that game. I think it gives the defense life. I think it puts some pressure on Georgia. He's going to have that opportunity again. They're going to scheme something up where one of those guys gets behind the defense. And surely he can't miss all of them, right?
Yeah. I wonder if there's any kind of special play they haven't run yet either. Some sort of trick play that they have taken out of their tool belt there that they haven't shown yet this year. We've seen a couple of those. We've seen the wide receiver pass. And
let me ask you this. If it's 7-3 at halftime, Auburn has let's say they're losing 7-3 or 10-7, low scoring game. They're slightly behind at the half. Offense can't get going. Do you have the discussion internally of making a change at quarterback?
Absolutely, because it provides a spark. It changes flow. It changes. That's what you do sometimes when you change quarterbacks, is just to give a lift to the team, provide a spark, a change of pace. And of course, it would depend on how that looked. If Auburn ran it, and Jackson Arnold was 4 of 6 for 50-something yards, but they only scored 3 points because they were trying to run it. Missouri was shutting them down, or if Jackson Arnold was getting sacked left and right, that's a different take. But if he's missing open receivers, if he's holding onto the ball too long, all those type of things. If he's turning it over, which he hasn't shown the propensity to do, then yeah, I think you definitely have to have that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We both gave our picks here. I'm saying 20-17. You're saying 23-20. We'll see what happens.
I mean, picking against him hasn't worked. So let's go.
No, for sure. For sure. If they win, it gets interesting because I think they could beat Arkansas.
If they win, if they win 8 games is definitely on the table.
We're all like, we're back, right? And there's going to be some Auburn fans that are upset about it, right? Because they want a change to be made. But if you win, the main thing standing in between you, unless you just totally fall apart in Fayetteville, Vandy's what's standing in between going 8-4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're 8-3 going to the Iron Bowl, I'm not going to sprint to pick Bama, I think you got a shot there. So this game's big. Obviously, if you lose it, it means so much the other way. This is the big game. This is a big game. When we were ranking the important games throughout the offseason, we both said Baylor a ton. We both said Oklahoma a ton. And then we said Missouri a ton because we both thought that we would lose those 3 games. So
and if this would be the turning point, this would be the turnaround.
It's going to be the turning point one way or the other. Well, I guess it either stops the bleeding, or it's this might fall apart. It would be devastating. So we'll see what happens. Tomorrow morning, we'll drop the mega show, which is essentially the best of show throughout the week. That's done surprisingly well. So we'll continue to do that for sure. I'll go live from my hotel room in Nashville after the game. Then Darrell and I will record a show. He'll record it from Jordan-Hare Stadium. I'll be in the hotel room in Nashville. Please pray for good internet. That'll drop Sunday morning. And we'll have you covered. We'll also go live with the Barn Auburn, the Barn cast from the Barn Auburn on YouTube Sunday night. So Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410, Wednesdays and Fridays with you. Sunday mornings, the reaction show. Sunday night with you and Kyle Rush, the Barncast, live at 8 p.m.
Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.